You're starting to really make this a way of life, and it's becoming second nature to you, and to get out that door is nice and easy. Some things that we spoke about just briefly before, but it's probably about time to really start looking at getting caught out there in the elements and being prepared for things. So you may have your shoes now, you're breaking them in, and that's really important. The worst thing you can do before going on a good trek, on a holiday or a tour, where you might be multi-days walking or doing like extended walks up, over 5 kilometer type walks, is to have brand new spanking shoes when you're going out. You want to break these things in. So the old ways they used to do with the leather boots, I've heard people say, oh, you fill them up with water, walk through a creek and just walk them and they'll stretch to size, probably fall apart quicker. I don't recommend that. They should feel pretty good straight off the bat, but the big thing is to wear them in, and that's your foot adjusting a little bit to this new shoe as well. Socks are going to be a consideration as well. So you might want to do slightly thicker socks, and that way a little bit more comfort that's been put in there with the sock. And particularly as you walk longer, your feet swell a little bit too. So just having that bit of room in your boot is a good idea, to keep your feet from feeling really sort of sore after a day's walk. So make sure you're walking in those new shoes. Get them broken in, and then you'll feel perfectly comfortable to do full day hikes without any worries at all. The other thing with foot care, make sure if you're getting rubbing anywhere on your feet, start getting a hot spot where things just start to feel like they're burning. Make sure you stop really early, take your boots off and put like a plaster on there of some sort just to pad it up. You can get some specially designed things that go over blisters, but you want to get them before they become a blister. So make sure you pad that little area up, because nothing's worse than going out and having something just niggle at you all day until you get home and you just are in agonizing pain over a stupid blister. So make sure you look after that. That brings us to, where would you find a plaster? Where would you find a Band-Aid type thing? That should be in a first aid kit. So a lot of people don't think about this. And again, it's really important to look after yourself when you're out and about and be prepared for anything that might come along. So that might be as simple as getting some, insect bites or mosquitoes or midges or something like that. So I always carry, doesn't matter what brand it is, but some insect repellent. Some people love this stuff. They shower in it. They go crazy. There's not too many environments, and we're in Australia here, which we're renowned around the world for having the most bitey things that can get you. Look, I've been out in the pretty extreme conditions all over the place, and I hardly put any on because I just don't like too much chemical stuff all over me. And a lot of people don't realise that DEET, which is one of those products that they use in most insect repellents, it'll actually break down part of the waterproof membranes and rubber. Also, anything synthetic, it doesn't really like that. So don't go showering all your good equipment in insect repellent. And that's just a little trick from experience and from talking to some people who have owned big camping stores and things like this. So that's a little hidden trick that people don't really realize, but look after your equipment and it'll look after you. So I use a little bit around my neck, on the openings of my clothing and around underneath my socks, and that's about it. And we get all sorts of things up here, ticks and leeches and all those sort of fun things. They don't do too much damage. Again, media hypes all this stuff up. They're nothing to worry about, in my opinion. So that's that. Sunscreen, I just carry a little thing like this that I keep topping up with a bigger bottle, and that's just enough to have in my pack. And out in the sun, just put a bit of sunscreen on there. So that's an option. But the other thing is a first aid kit. So first aid kits. Now, if you're just walking around the streets, look, I've been caught out and I have had, cut my finger on a handrail and blood going everywhere just to have a couple of Band-Aids in my wallet. I carry them all the time now. So I recommend that as a little life hack. But if I'm just on a little day hike thing around and it's only really light and I know I'm not going too far from anywhere, I've just got a little pack like this. It's just got Band-Aids and a bandage and a few bits and pieces that are going to just help me get through until I can do something a bit more serious with it. Steps up to a slightly bigger one. And this is a good size. I mean, you can fit a fair bit in there and you can customize these things. Again, first aid kits, I don't think there's one that is perfect. Every single one that I've had over the years, you might need to add something or take some useless stuff out, but you'll work out what's going to work for you over time. But just, money well spent, because again, you may never open this thing. And if you're lucky enough to be in that situation, that's awesome. But if something does go down and you hurt yourself, or even coming across someone who's not prepared, you may be able to save a life or at least help them out of that situation. And that might be good enough to get you out of the track instead of sitting there for hours and hours trying to work out what you're going to do about a situation. So first aid kits. This is the one I carry. Obviously, I do a little bit more extended stuff and I have people to worry about, but having it in a dry bag, and dry bags are super handy. I recommend them. There's different ones out there. This one's a great one. This is from Sea to Summit. They make a lot. And I've just made my first aid kit, first aid, out of a tote bag. So this is just like what you put your toiletries in. And there's a lot of good ones out there now, but I've found it's got lots of little compartments I can put things in. Let's see. So that's an easy way to get around spending huge amounts of money in there. Now, some of the other bits of equipment are really handy. A head torch with spare batteries is always a great idea. I highly, highly recommend that. Again, all these things can go into a dry bag. So a dry bag's just a bag that can go up there. So if you get caught in rain or you drop your pack in a puddle or a creek or something like that, your first aid kit isn't cactus. All those things don't like water. And you can get them in a whole range of sizes. You can see here, this one's a bit bigger. This one's got a see-through thing, so I can see what's in there. Yep. And then this one here, like I put some camera gear and that and some electronic stuff, my phone or whatever, if I get caught in a shower. So it's handy to have a few different sizes of those if you can. Then, out and about, a little pocket knife. That's not a bad idea to have, like a Swiss Army knife or something of the sort that can do a couple of different things. Some tweezers, really important. Sometimes even just a small mirror. Sometimes people use like those compacts, for ladies' powder, or you can get these ones from camping stores. But that's handy if you're out by yourself and you get scratched on the face or something, you need to sort yourself out. Handy little extra bits that you're going to have in your first aid kits. So that's a great idea for that. Next thing, you want to look after yourself. You don't want to be caught out there. Maybe you've already been caught and think to yourself, I may need to get myself a raincoat. Again, I've been lent some of this stuff here from Far Outdoors Camping. So thank you very much for that, Teresa. Now, what we're going to look at is a range of different types that you can get. So from a really simple thing, you can start off with an emergency poncho in your pack. And I often have an extra one of those in my pack. You never know when you might be caught out. So they cost next to nothing. You buy them at a cheap shop. They're just basically a plastic bag that you put your head through with a hood and that'll keep you dry, and it works great. And I've seen people do some extreme hiking just with these flapping around plastic bags all over them. And they've been drier than most of the other people with, the more expensive equipment, believe it or not. So I'll start with the lighter weight stuff that's designed maybe not for like extended adventures, but good to have out and to be a little bit handy. So this is one from Rainbird. So this type of raincoat, it has its own little bag that you can put it in to carry it. This thing's about $80 at the moment, which is pretty good. Like this thing will serve you well, especially if you're going to see grandma in the woods, the little Red Riding Hood thing. It's got a hood here that comes out of this Velcro section to go over your head. It's got like this sort of netted fabric so that plastic's not sticking to your body. But this is just designed to keep the water off you. It does have some little hole section here so you don't get super, super sweaty. But if you're doing some hiking, you got a pack on, you might be going up a hill, these tend to make you sweat inside. Now, getting wet and cold, that's a killer. You got to watch out for that. So this is good for what it's good for. Keeping the rain off, getting caught in a shower. Maybe not so great if you're hiking and doing some really kind of extended stuff that you're going to start sweating in it. But, good, lightweight, packs away, cheap enough. If that's what serves your purpose, that's brilliant. So that's that rain jacket. Next, we're going to step up to this jacket here. I really like this one. This is from XTM. They have performance outdoor equipment. Now, the difference between this and the other one, not just the color, but there's a lot of features on this, and it's a bit more expensive, but you get what you pay for in these things. This is a material, there's many different types that are out there, and now there's a lot of different sort of brand names for them. But essentially, what it is a multi-layered membranes. So it wicks the sweat away from you inside, and it brings it through, and it allows it to come through the material only one way. So the rain is going on it, doesn't come in that way, but if you're sweating underneath, it gets it out. This one's really good. It's got an extra bit, which you don't see on all of them, and they're armpit zips. So you can see, you can open that up, and it's got like a sort of netting type material in there that will let the hot bits of your body expel the moisture. It's got some great coverage on the zip, and that velcros over as a weather thing. It's windproof. It's got great cuffs that can tighten up, keep the warmth in, keep the water out. It's got a waterproof pocket here, so if you've got some valuables, you can fit your mobile phone in there or something that you might need at the handy. You might need to take calls or AirPods, whatever you're into. That goes in there, so that's waterproof, and it's got a really good hood. So some hoods sit really far back, so I always recommend, if you're going to be walking in the rain and you've got a cap, that makes it all the better, just to keep the water off your head, or a wide brim hat. You just have to tuck your hood in, so that has a section there that you can fold that away as well. Get rid of the hood altogether, and that often they'll have them where they can come off. You can have it on or off altogether, but generally this is a really great jacket. I like it a lot. So that's kind of, we're talking 150, 200-ish dollars for this sort of level, maybe a little bit more depending on brand, but really good. And it's got taped seams, which is another great feature on these as well. So that just means that the water won't come in on anywhere where it's been stitched. So yeah, really good jacket, that one. Okay, the next one we step up to, this is real Red Riding Hood action. This one here is sort of like a higher level. Again, it's the same sort of material you can see here with the tape seams. It's got that same sort of ability to take the moisture out. It's a bit more rigid as far as the material. It's a bit more rugged. So this thing could take a fair beating if you were trudging, off track in Tasmania. It's a really long cut. So this is too big for me, obviously. I look a little bit silly, like I'm wearing a dressing gown. It's very large, but you can see how far it goes down. So it really covers a lot of your body. It keeps that water from getting all over your privates, cold and hiking out. So often people will wear overpants that you can get as well. So, I carry in my pack overpants if things get a little bit more extreme. Again, it's got some good drawstrings, a really good hood that's got like this sort of strengthening section in there, so it keeps shape, doesn't just flap all over your head. Good pockets. It's got hand warming pockets as well as opening pockets at the top with a good overflap, keeps the water out. So this, if you got something like this would last you, a good part of your life out and about, and protect you and be kind of warm too. It's a little bit thicker in its material. So that's, this price is really good for something like that. But these can go anywhere from, like $250. You can get jackets going up to $600-700, more hardcore sort of equipment. But again, that's something in an investment. And if you're going to use it over and over and over, how much do you pay for tires for your car? This is something that's keeping you comfortable. And if you think of your shoes as your jackets, as your packs, if you think of them like you'd spend money on any of the other equipment in your life, in daily life, you're going to get a lot of satisfaction out of wearing some nice stuff. And when it's pouring down rain and you're nice and dry inside and feeling comfortable, you'll thank yourself for just putting that little bit more money into slightly better equipment. So that hopefully gives you a little bit of an overview on some of the rain equipment, some of the first aid kits. With the first aid kit, a bit of training goes a long way. So if you're to do a first aid course, that's going to help you to no end. So it's good having the stuff, but if you don't know how to use it, it's kind of pointless. So yeah, that's not hard. There's day courses, and if you want to go a little bit more extreme, there's wilderness first aid courses, and they're absolutely amazing. They're well worth the investment in that. You may save a life, you might save your own. But if you come on tours with us, obviously, we've got people who already have these qualifications. So, that's the joy of going with an organised group that knows what they're doing. So hopefully that's helped you out today.